Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another wonderful edition of the Written Undead podcast. I'm Jack Childress. That's Richard Ryan Rose, Angel Ramone's hiding in the shadows, and Jennifer Amato kicking it out of frickin' hot ass Arizona. And Aiden Collier, our resident archaeologist, has jumped on today to be a special guest co host. And our guest this week is the one and only Darren Frey. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Not too shabby. So Jennifer has been reading your current book, and she is raving about it. Now, I haven't had a chance to get to it yet, but I will, guaranteed, absolutely. So, give us a little insight into where this comes from and what was the inspiration for it.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So the it's a vampire story, and the vampire aspect of it. This is like actually a bit of a reboot. Like I had originally written a novella back in 2011, and it was published, but it I felt like it was incomplete. Like it didn't really do too well. I didn't really know what I was doing, so I had it in my head all along. Like, okay, I want to redo it, but there's something missing. And then um, in 2018, I moved to Las Vegas because I needed to just distance myself from the world, basically. And I started, doing just reflecting on myself, doing just trying to do a lot of work and I went to an ayahuasca retreat. Like I felt called to go to an ayahuasca retreat because I had a lot of demons I needed to try to bring to the surface and figure out how to get rid of. And during the experience, I had this vision that I needed to tell my life story and write it. And then once I returned home, it just clicked. I'm like, I need to combine my life story with this vampire story, and that's where the original idea came from.
Dude, that is freaking neat. Like I said, we've had so many authors come through, and we always ask pretty much that same canned question about where did you get the inspiration? Where did this come from in your mind? I don't think we've ever had one say, you know what, I'm going to write a work of fiction, but it's also going to be my life story. This is a first, and it is really cool, man. Um, what kind of did you have any problems early on as you were trying to combine the two things, or did it just kind of flow?
They just it flowed. Like after I was in Vegas for about a year, I enrolled in the local community college because I wanted to do something. Because I'm visually impaired. I'm considered legally blind. I'm disabled, so I can't work. But I wanted to do something other than just sit there. And so I started taking classes, and they offered a associate's degree in creative writing. So I was taking writing classes, and then um, as soon as I came back from the ayahuasca retreat, this was at the end of 2019. So beginning of 2020, I started taking two writing classes at once, and this was also around the time the pandemic started, and I was using the first couple of chapters of my book for writing projects, and I just kind of started working with it, building with it from there. And then once classes started getting canceled because of COVID and everything went online, I just started just banging it out. And about 3 or 4 months later, I had my rough draft. So I just kind of went back from there and just kept editing it and adding things, and that's pretty much how it came to be.
Damn cool. Now, let me ask you, because I can't think it off the top of my head, even though I can see it in my head. What is the name of this wonderful book?
Psychonautic.
Psycho. No, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I just didn't want to say it because I thought I was wrong.
Let me tell you, I'm in love with this book. I wanted to get it done yesterday, but time ended up coming short. We had some things that popped up, but this book, I cannot begin to describe how, it's real heavy at first, but if you just persevere, push through, you're going to get the most amazing gem that you could ever imagine, because it goes from, kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong, Darren, because I think at first it's more of a I'm telling my life story about when I was feeling sorry for myself, when I was having a moment. And then you thought that just like you said, the whole point was to get your story out. And during your retreat, something told you to write it and all that fun stuff. And then you turned it, and then vampires get introduced, which is where I'm at right now, where I'm meeting certain vampires in this book, and I'm just like mind blown. But you really did go through a really difficult time. That's kind of part of the you that you were talking about. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because really, honestly, I was actually at a point where I almost thought I was going to cry. And everybody that knows me knows I don't cry for Jack or any Jack shit. I mean,
I was about to say,
Yeah, I
any
was about to
tears for
say.
me?
Jack's made me cry before. So.
it takes an awful, awful, awful thing to make me cry. And for a moment, I swear to God, I was going to start bawling my eyes out because it was just, it was horrific stuff. And I'm sorry you had to go through that. But in a way, you came out the other end. Good for you. A high five on that because I can't even begin to tell you how much I'm cheering for you right now because you've actually gone ahead and put a little bit of your life in this book, and it's the most vulnerable thing I think a person could do.
Absolutely.
I tell you what, Darren, your book just made it to the top of my to be read list because you made Jennifer almost cry.
Almost
Exactly.
cried.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
I need to
Well
figure out
done.
what kind of magic makes that happen. So,
Right? Because we already know that I'm going to be a blubbering mess.
Now,
You might be. You
now,
might
Darren.
be.
Now, I got a
It
question
was
for you, Darren.
Okay.
Was there any book or any work that you read that inspired you to be a writer? Was there any influence from a popular author that you know of?
Um, I wouldn't really say there was an author that I don't know. Like just I've always been imaginative and I've always liked to write. Like when I was a little kid, I would just get like a piece of paper and I still write like I'm a little kid, so the writing wasn't really much different. But I would just come up with these little silly, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle or He-Man, like fan fiction. And then when I was about
Oh, okay.
13, when I was about 13, my mother had won some kind of contest. I don't know what it was, but she got like won a Apple Macintosh computer, and this was right around the time the internet started taking off. When you get those America Online discs
Oh,
every
yes,
so
yes.
often,
Yeah.
the
I
computer could
remember them over here.
Yes.
you couldn't get on the internet with this computer though. Like it wasn't even in color. Like the only thing I could find useful was writing. Like it did have a notepad, so I would just start coming up with more elaborate short stories and. Everybody, people that would read them would be like, dude, you really need to start taking this serious. And I don't know, like, I thought they were just telling me that. Like, I didn't really stop and think they were being serious. And then just one day, I'm like, I really should try this. Like, I've always felt in the back of my mind, that's the one thing that I feel like I am decent at. And so I just kept at it. But with my eyes, like, I have a degenerative eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa. It's like I'm slowly going completely blind. And anytime I stare at something for too long, it just kind of gets blurry. And I haven't read a whole lot. I mean, I've read some, but not as much as a lot of authors probably read. But as far as my influences go, I did enjoy some of the Harry Potter books, and I like Steve.
Yeah, yeah.
And I particularly the last book I read, which is probably my favorite that I've read so far, is probably Let the Right One In. That I've seen both the movies; they're great. But the book is
Both of them are great.
yeah.
the book is always better.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Now,
something more in the book that wasn't in the movies, but yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
I know who your main male character is based off of, Julie. Who is Violet based off of? Was she a was she already in your vampire story that you kind of melted into your psychonautic story, or was she someone else that just kind of popped up and became?
Violet's been around for. She was in the original. Like my original novella was called The Blood Reapers. She was in that, and the character Xavier, he was
Okay.
in it. But as far as like Julian goes, yeah, he was like his backstory was different. But no, Violet is in my mind, Violet is who I would consider to be the perfect, like my perfect companion. Like everybody's would be different, but that's my opinion of what a perfect companion would be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I wrote her. Originally, she was more generic, I suppose, because I was with my girlfriend at the time, who the character Faith is based off of, and I certainly, honestly, at the time, I mean, I did not want to base a character off of her because she was not like I was.
I'll find out why.
I was in a really bad spot with her at the time, and it was already like the relationship was already pretty much over by then. But yeah, like but now though, like now Violet has so much more meaning than she originally did.
I hate, and I know I messaged you and said some very unkind things about your character Faith, and we discussed stuff, but really I vehemently hate that lady, and I mean, just as much as I wanted to cry, that's how much I want to beat her ass too.
And
Damn.
Yeah, I got a lot of feelings out of this book. I haven't felt things like this in a long time, I'll tell you that.
Wow.
remember when you said that one particular thing about her, and I said it's funny you say that word because I know
Yeah.
you've read that part. I know you've read that part already,
Yes,
where
yes, I
in the
did.
car, where Violet is in the car. Yeah.
Yes, I was like, yeah, me and this Violet chick, we can hang out.
Yeah.
You know, that
Yeah,
says a lot. That says a lot coming from the granite-hearted Jen over here.
Yes.
If you can get in her feels, you've done something.
I am stone cold,
Yeah,
and
well done.
honestly, this book has really, it's an emotional roller coaster from page one.
Yeah,
And
man.
if you're into that kind of thing,
I gotta read it.
you definitely do. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you feel like, I mean, 'cause if you feel like you're dead inside, this will wake you up. So
Yeah, I mean, Darren. I mean, to make Jennifer cry, it's quite the accomplishment. The best I did was make her confused.
yeah. That
Damn.
is true. That is true.
Alien.
I do have a question.
I
Go
made her
ahead.
mad.
So, it's a bit more of a technical question. You said that you used a life story and then you had the vampire parts of it. Did you go for one first and then write that and then mesh the other one in, or did you just mesh them both from the start?
Well, like I said, originally I did have the vampire story. I wrote it started in 2011, finished in 2000, or started in 2010, finished in 2011, and it was roughly the same story. It's just the main character, Julian Frost, his background was a little different, and a couple of the characters were arranged a little differently, but it was still roughly the same story. You know, Julian is just in a bad spot, and he meets Violet, who basically becomes his savior, and through her, he starts to find meaning in life again. And but I had originally never really thought about using my own life story in that context until I had went to Las Vegas and I had my vision with ayahuasca. Because even then, you know, that story wasn't even complete. Like I hadn't had the moments that I had with my girlfriend at the time. So there would have been no way I could have written it like that back then. Like there's stuff about my family that hadn't happened yet that's included in this. And it. But I'm glad though. I mean, it's rough the things that did happen, but at the same time, because they happened, they taught me so much, and I wouldn't be able to have this book without it. So.
Yeah, I've had one of the books I was writing a while ago now. So it's you've got that book it's in the back that you're always writing that you're never going to publish until you're basically just about to die. My one of those. I just had this thing with it. I'm like, there's something that needs to go into it, and I just keep putting these. Oh, this needs at this moment, and then something happens in my life, and I go, oh, that worked for that moment, and it just seems to be this sort of. No, it's not an autobiography because it's a sci-fi book, so we're not in that point. But I understand that sort of idea where you've got to experience the things before you put them in there to mesh them in and work through. That's really cool. It's really cool to be able to do that already.
Yes.
To have enough coming in. So
The
you can put that
experience
out
helps
there.
it feel more real when you're writing it. You know how you would react in the situation because you've already been through it. So it seems more genuine instead of somebody having a second guess and somebody else going, yeah, that don't sound right at all.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you mean. I mean, I couldn't have written my book the same way 20 years ago than I did when I started writing it because I just didn't have the same experiences and it just
Mhm.
wouldn't have been the same story. So I feel
Exactly.
you.
Yep.
I feel like that's where the best where the best writing comes from because when you feel something, you feel it differently than somebody who hasn't, and you can write it. And mine, everything that I wrote in that came from a place of like pure raw emotion, and I couldn't imagine being able to write something like that. Like the best piece of writing advice I had ever gotten was unfortunately I can't remember her name. It was somebody that just happened to say it on Facebook a couple years ago. It was write what you know, and
hmm
I love that. It bugs me to death that I cannot remember who said that, but yeah, like I totally agree with that. Like, I mean, yeah, you can research things to learn, to write about, but as far as writing from within, like things you've felt or things that if you're going to write what somebody's feeling, the best way to do it is to know it yourself.
Well, I mean, if I were to write a book and go with that, write what you know, I would probably have to come up with like I don't know, demonically possessed forklift goes on rampage.
I'd read it. I would
That
read
kind of
it.
thing.
Yeah.
You're making me watch that
Yeah.
movie Rubber. I'd read
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Rubber, nice.
That is
Yeah.
Got a new premise there, Jack.
that movie is so bad it's good. I love it. I want Rubber the sequel.
You
Well,
need
I
to
got a
check
question
out
for
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I got a question for Aiden because this kind of ties into Darren's book. Have you, being an archaeologist, have you seen anything where the people of the past have used maybe not necessarily psychedelics? Would you call ayahuasca a psychedelic? I guess, Darren.
It's a psychedelic medicine.
Okay. So is there record of that in the whatever you found in
So,
archaeological records at all?
so oddly, bizarre archaeology is primarily focused on the physical, the stuff we dig up, the what's left behind, the actual object itself. You don't see that as much. And being from the UK, the big influence from the psychedelic use would be the Vikings coming in and their use of mushrooms. But we don't really physically see that. It's not really seen. To be fair, we don't really have the money to analyze the soot we find in jars and things to find the psychedelics to see if they cooked it in any way possible. That'd be a brilliant PhD if anyone wants to get a PhD in archaeology, go and do that. Get some funding. We want to know. But historically in records, because obviously archaeology, we tie it into the records, and
Mhm.
they help us do what we do, and we help confirm what's in the records and so on. There is that whole use of mushrooms, certain psychedelic mushrooms that grow within Europe. It's more sort of like northwest Europe, the psychedelic mushrooms, and there is a lot of use of that, and there is a lot of record of that, and in fact, that is also one of the reasons why the UK even exists, because in 1066, obviously, Battle of Hastings lost, Normans come over, what we now know as the UK starts to form. Before that, you've got the Anglo-Saxons, and then earlier in 1066, obviously you've got the Battle of Stamford Bridge, and that one of the big things on that battle that held them up for so long was a guy stood on the bridge with an axe going mental, and he was just hitting anyone that came near him, and he held up basically the entire army, and they had to swim across the river and try and get round him and everything. It held them up for hours. That guy was almost certainly on shrooms.
Yeah, that is a crazy story.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
So the fact that they were held up there for so long was the fact that they couldn't defeat the Normans. Therefore, some guy on shrooms created the UK. If you really want to look at it in that, if you want to look at
Wow.
it in that sort of sense, that's
Take that,
you basically
FBI.
get these weird bits in history where that
ADM.
one person changes the tide of everything by doing something so simple. It's where the butterfly effect comes from, obviously. But yeah,
Oh man, ADM man, history is funny like that.
It
it's bizarre as hell.
It is.
It really is.
Well, I mean, that does go to confirm, for the most part, that the human beings have been using psychedelics for various reasons for a
Yes.
very long time.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
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 Native Americans used it.
Mm-hmm. Peyote.
Hmm.
It's very
Darren,
nice cultural stuff from that as well.
I wanted to ask you the places that you mentioned, because you mentioned a few different places. You mentioned Vegas, you mentioned Virginia, and you mentioned New York in your books. Are these places that you've been?
Yes,
Following that write what you know thing?
yeah, like then in the Las Vegas chapters when they go to the stratosphere. Like, I do mention the stratosphere, but I don't actually say this is the stratosphere, because the little
Right.
tidbit about getting to the top, I've actually done that a couple of times, and it is technically illegal. But
Don't
We
do
won't
that.
tell. We won't tell. nobody, even though we're live.
and then aspects of the nightclub, like the red hallway. I've actually, it wasn't red, but I had actually went to a club in New York in 2010 to see the band Opeth when they were doing their 20th anniversary. 20th to 25th anniversary. I can't remember what, but there was
I'd love
a
to be at that gig.
there was a hallway. Yeah, I got to meet them and everything. It was awesome. But
Wow.
there was a hallway where it was like glass doors. It wasn't like red light shining through. It's purple light, but then the bar, how it was like glowing purple. When I was in the stratosphere, I happened to wander into a private bar by accident, where the bar and the stools were glowing green. And so yeah, I mean, almost everything in it, just stuff that I've seen. And so yeah.
I wondered if that was something, if that was actually something that was there, or if you just came up with the glowing purple bar. I thought that was really awesome. I'm like, wow, I wonder if there is such a thing.
I got lost in the stratosphere because I didn't. There was one time I went to the floor below, like where I mentioned how like the floor below was like the bar, and that's like as high up as you can go if you're not a guest. I went there by mistake once, and I was wandering around, and I happened to go into this room that it was like a private bar, and I didn't realize it was private. But I stood there for a minute, and I just like observed it, and I was in total like awe at that. I'd never seen a bar with like that glowed, the stools glowing, and then the liquor rack behind it glowing. It was awesome.
That is so cool.
Hey, Darren, I got a question for you, just out of curiosity. I know you say you have a degenerative eye condition, and I've met other authors who had certain disabilities.
Mhm.
And how did you get by that? What kind of software did you use or whatnot to write this book?
I use Microsoft Word, but I use dark mode, so it's like a dark screen. Because when things are too bright, it just totally messes with my eyes. Like
Mhm.
I can't see when things are pitch black, but when things are dark for the most part, but then there's things like lit up in the dark, I can. That's a lot easier on my eyes. But as far as instead of just full on bright white light and like my phone, everything on my phone is
I
in
heard
dark mode. And
I heard there's special glasses for that though. I heard there's special glasses for that.
I may have to look into that. I have issues with bright light myself. Like if I don't have sunglasses on when I go outside, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have those orbs
Yeah,
in front of
whenever
my
I get
eyes constantly.
I know whenever I get a migraine, I suffer from migraines. I tend to put sunglasses on inside.
my,
It's a little weird, but when I get those migraines, man, it murders me. It murders you.
my glasses are transitional to where when I go outside, they turn into sunglasses. When I moved to Vegas, I had to get them because the light out there is insane compared to here.
Mhm.
And Jennifer, I
It
know you.
hits different out here.
It's
It
so
hits
much brighter.
different out here. It's terrible.
And, yeah.
I'm still wearing sunglasses at the moment in the UK.
I know
Yeah,
some
wear
people use that.
aviators quite a lot. One of the things that I used was I had a pair of blue glasses to take out blue light. Of that, does blue light affected you at all with the screen thing? I used the dark mode, as you said. I found that when I was at university was a good way of being able to essentially write late at night because you haven't written something. You could have that. Sorry, my voice is going. All right, I'm back. So that you could have the use of the screen for the ability of the eyes. My eyesight isn't that great, but mine's mainly 3D. Thing, but I found the blue glasses to cut the blue light stops and things. Have you thought about going forward from that? Obviously you've got your dark mode thing working, and obviously you've got your glasses, we can see them. Have you thought about possibly going into the dictation stuff? There was a lot of it about
Mhm.
quite a few years ago where people were raving about it.
It's like
Is
jabbing.
that, as you said, it's degenerative? Is that something that you're going to look into so that we can keep reading your stuff? Basically,
Please.
have you got a method for carrying on writing? Is basically my point.
Like the Dragon software, I think that's what
Yep.
Javin uses.
Yeah,
Yep, that's what he uses.
Yeah, but me so right.
Yeah, I guess I haven't really looked too much. I mean, I know I probably should. Even when I was younger, like when my eyesight was so much better, my mother for a while tried to encourage me to learn Braille, but me being a little kid, of course I was like, no, no thanks. But,
Not happening.
yeah, I mean, I know I should try to start doing more. Like some friends had encourage me, the idea of going to train to get a service dog, which I mean, I would like that. Where I'm at right now, it's kind of difficult because, I live in the middle of nowhere. Like I live out in rural southern West Virginia. And I mean, kind of, like I have a friend who takes me places I need to go. I have my groceries delivered. I want to get out of here when I can. Like I can afford to go somewhere. I just way things are priced right now. I wouldn't wait.
Oh,
It's going to happen, but I would like to start doing more to try to make a plan for what I'm going to do if I do go completely blind. I mean, there is a possibility that I won't. I was supposed to be completely blind by the time I was 13, but that was 27 years ago, and I'm still going. So, but
you're strong.
Cool. Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
beat that statistic.
So now, where do you plan on going now? Like, what's your next thing? What are you planning on working on?
well, Psychonautic is just the beginning. There's going to be 3 of them. I have written the rough draft for, it's called In Dreams, Psychonautic Act 2. My trilogy is going to follow like a 3-act structure, and I've got the rough draft for that written. It only took me about 2.5 months to write that. I flew through it, and I've been working on Act 3 for a while now, and I'm only on chapter 12. I'm taking my time because I want to try to, wrap it up best way I can, and after that, I would like to write other vampire stories from this universe because there's a lot of new characters that come into it in the second book and opens up doors for all these possibilities. But there are other books and stories I would like to write that have nothing to do with that. And so, I mean, I'm just whatever, and then I'm also kind of kicking around ideas with there's a paranormal romance author. She's a really nice lady, L.N. Malone. I think Angel,
Yes.
you know who she is.
I know who you're talking about.
We've been talking about doing a collaboration. We've been kicking around some ideas.
Ooh.
I wrote a scene for In Dreams Psychonautic Act 2 that teeters on it is straight up erotica, I suppose.
Well,
but-
Jen's head just exploded.
Yeah, I'm like boom, right?
That's not really my genre. I mean, I'm still interested just to see, for the experience, just to learn from it. But we've been kicking around ideas, for something. She's got a project she's trying to finish up, and I'm trying to finish this up. So, who knows?
Now, Darren, I wanted to ask you, piggybacking off that thought, would you be open to writing in another genre, or are you going to be sticking to horror for the rest of your career?
I'm open to different genres. Like Psychonautic isn't really. I mean, it's got some horror elements in it, but it's mostly dark fantasy and suspense But I mean, it does have some horror elements, and as with Act 2 and then Act 3, they've got some pretty horrific things in them that weird horror. But yeah, I mean, I would love to try different genres, because there's a lot of different stuff going on in the first book. Like, there's even just a lot of like ironic comedy, but even though it's not meant to be funny at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny enough that you made Jennifer cry. I mean,
some of that dark humor is always appreciated.
Yes, it's a well appreciated, man. Because Jennifer is always this tough woman. Like, she claims to be tough, and yeah, you made her Jenny.
Caught me in a moment of weakness.
Yeah, so props to you, Darren, winning, man. Yeah.
So now you said you're actually working on book 3 right now. To wrap up the series. Do you already know how it's going to end, or are you just like the reader at this point going, I have no idea what's about to happen?
I do and I don't. Like, I have like a general idea, but at the same time, all the details, the blanks are still, there's a lot of blanks there, and that's one reason why it's taken me so long, because everything I write, I'm trying to think in my head, like okay, if this happens, what's going to happen because of that, and I don't want to write something that's going to later come back and go nowhere, or just completely make no sense, because I don't want there to be any plot holes. I'm the kind of person that will sit there and totally lose interest in a movie over the littlest plot holes. So I'm trying to make sure that there's nothing like that. But I do have a general idea, and I'm pretty certain how it's going to end. It's just trying to get there. That's the hard part right now.
It's the middle bit. It's always the middle bit.
And them dang characters want to do. They think they have a mind of their own.
Yeah, they thought, I've had so many books I've had to change the endings for. Like, oh no, the characters did this. They killed. Oh, that person was supposed to be. Oh no.
Yeah, this
I've got to rewrite
A lot of times I don't even know what's going to happen until I start writing it.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how I roll.
I mean, I have a new outline, but it's mostly pantsing.
Yeah.
It's a suggestion.
I do love the whole create an outline and just have it on the side. I use Scrivener. So what I tend to do is have my outline on the side, and I write per chapter what my outline is first, and then I copy paste it when I get to the chapter and stick it in the side, and then I cross it out when I get to it. And there's one series I'm on at the moment, and we're on book 2 of the series, and I'm currently on what I thought I would do in the 3rd chapter of the first book, because I went on a massive tangent. The characters decided, no, your story is rubbish. We're doing this thing. I'm like, okay, we'll do that then. All right, we'll do this thing. It's fine. Do you do that, Darren? Do you let the characters take the helm, as it were, and just move you around a little bit, or do you stick a little bit more? As you said, obviously there's a bit of autobiography in there. That you need to stick to that a little bit. Do you change that up?
Well, with book 1, like you said, that was like mostly from like an autobiography, but like that was just basically like the opener. But like with the second book, I'm learning characters that I thought would go in one direction are tending to go in another direction for it to make sense. And there was a character that I came up with for the second book that at first I thought, okay, she'd be a cute little addition, and then I'm just like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm like totally like smitten by this character. And I'm like, and there's so yeah, they surprise me. Like I'll have something in mind, but then as I start writing and realizing, okay, this will make more sense, this will work better, I'm like, whoa, I did not see that coming. And had me questioning, like, is this person, is this a bad person? Is this a good person? What? I know
I don't even know what's going on.
Who are you?
Exactly.
The best bit
Who
about
are
being
you?
an author is he's just the characters turn around talking back to you. You're like, hang on a minute. It's like, what's going on here?
Like, that's my purse. I don't know you.
Well, now, like in Richard's case, he has no choice but listen to his characters because they're Sasquatch, and if they say they want to go in a certain direction, he
They're
pretty much
going.
has to go.
They're
Yep.
going.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't argue with them either. No.
Yeah.
Not much stopping
No.
those guys. Yeah.
Nope.
Now, I want to talk, if I may, I've got a question about the ayahuasca.
Okay.
Okay. So, first of all, it's not just something that you can just drop back like you're hitting a bottle. This is something you actually have to prepare for, right?
Oh, yes. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it.
Okay. You went to a retreat?
Yes.
How long was that retreat?
It was for 3 nights. Like it was like it started on Friday, and then it ended on Monday. And I only took it twice, though I could take it 3 times, but I only took it twice because the second night scared the absolute hell out of me, put the fear of God in me, and
Wow.
But it's heavy duty stuff.
But to back up though, like it took me about 2 months of preparation because I was taking antidepressants at the time, and the ayahuasca can interact with the antidepressants. Like the stories you've heard of people that have actually died from taking it, that's why they died, because they weren't given the proper instructions and advice from the shamans or the facilitators beforehand, and they went into it, with whatever medicines in their system, and then they would take it, and and it would unfortunately kill them. But I had to stop taking it about 2 months beforehand, and then there's a specific diet that it's not really necessary. That it's recommended that you follow, like cut out like so many foods. Like I was eating just a very bland, bare diet of just certain vegetables with very minimal seasonings and no butter, cheese, anything.
I can't do it. You said no butter. I can't
I'm out.
do it.
Catch
Forget it.
y'all next week.
No dairy. I'm
Okay,
sorted.
no,
I'm
I'm out.
lactose intolerant. That's no problem. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do
Well, I
that.
mean, you technically, I mean, you could still eat these foods, but you are going to get sicker than a dog if you do. Because I mean, like I said, I handled it really. I pushed myself really hard. I was only eating specific vegetables, and like I was mostly just boiling them and eating them with like
20
thyme
minutes.
and rosemary. There's a few seasonings that you could eat, but like garlic. I love garlic powder. Like you couldn't eat garlic or anything like that. And
So
but
quick question: what are the vegetables?
1 to 2.
the vegetable, well, there's certain vegetable. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's certain vegetables that I don't know if it was just because of something that was in them, like nightshade vegetables, for instance, like eggplant, stuff like that. Like I don't know exactly why, but I was eating a lot of brown rice. Like brown rice is one thing you could eat, and I fell in love with brown rice for a while. But
It's,
like
brown
brown
rice is actually pretty good.
I love it.
I
Or the
fell in
other-
love with that for a
all
little
the-
while as well.
yeah, and but like during the ceremonies, you know, I was purging, I was vomiting, and
Damn.
some, but not much. People around me, though, the way they were doing it, I was scared for a few of them a couple times. Like the way they were doing it, I literally thought they were dying, and it kind of messed with me a little bit because I was in this, you know, altered state, and all this was going on around me, and it was kind of freaking me out. And um, but
Heightened
yeah, like,
perception of the what's going on as well has got to have got to you.
yeah, I mean, the ceremonies are done differently. Like I took it in California. I flew out to San Francisco, and one of the facilitators gave me a ride about 2.5 hours northeast. Like I was on the outskirts of the Sierra Mountains, and we were all like, this was like the middle of December. Friday the 13th was the first ceremony of all days.
Oh, Jesus, dude.
We were in
Good
this.
work. Good work, man.
Should have known.
We were in this little cabin, like all packed into this little room. And I mean, I was a little iffy at first because everything I'd done tons of research beforehand because it's usually done down in the Amazon and traditionally done outdoors, and there's, you know, plenty of space and everything. And when we were all packed in there, I mean, I was a little concerned, but I was like trusting of the shamans in that, and I had faith in them that they knew what they were doing. And I mean, it was scary, you know. And I mean, later on, you know, there was some issues with the particular people I worked with, which that's a totally other story. But
Mhm.
but the second night, though, the first night was calming. You know, like the visions I had were calming. The second night was scary because the second night I thought I was dead. Like I had in 2015, when my girlfriend and I broke up, before I ever went to Las Vegas, I found out she cheated on me and she got pregnant. And
Oh, damn.
I tried to kill myself. I took over 50 Seroquel, which
Damn.
should have killed me.
That's a bit
They,
heavy.
they should have killed me, but they didn't. But I had this weird thought though. All after that, like, what if they did, and I don't know I'm dead? And that night, on that second night, I actually felt like, okay, oh shit, I am dead. I am dead. I am gone. When I woke up though, I was freaked out. There was a girl that was there from St. Louis. She's a pediatric chiropractor, and she had to hold me for like 3 hours to get me to stop trembling and to realize that I wasn't dead. And I was like, no, I am not doing night 3. No, hell no. You know?
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
I thought my night terrors were bad, but
No doubt.
That's,
And here's
wow.
Yeah,
Here's
that
the
is
killer
crazy.
part. He puts all this in his book.
I'm not putting my night terrors in my book.
This is what
Holy
what
cow.
is part of the story. So I mean, that's why I'm just like, you got to read his book. You got to read.
This is so. This is where you've drawn the emotion from. The all of these things. Obviously, the X doing all of the things that the X does and everything, and you've gone
hits
to there,
home.
and then it's come back to you at that moment that
Yeah.
you've been there to do this thing, to
Yeah, I mean, it,
realize yourself is the best of the English language that I could probably use. It's that thing. So, do you think you could have written it if you didn't have? Personally, at the moment, I don't think you could have. But do you think there's a way that someone could have or not?
I don't know. I mean, as far like I had honestly never. I mean, I thought it would be cool to write like a biography or like a story of my life, just because of everything that happened to me, not just with my ex girlfriend, but in my childhood, with my things with my family. Like, there's a lot of stuff that kind of intertwined that involved my ex and my family, involving the passing of my grandmother, and um, it. I mean, everything had to happen the way it did in order for this book to exist. You know, like and then going to take, I took the ayahuasca when I just had this idea that I needed to write it the way it was written and everything. It all came together perfectly. I mean, through very difficult circumstances, it helped me create this. But I mean, nothing. I've been through it, though. I learned that it takes hardships to create something great. And nobody who has a
Yes.
perfect life or a good life is going to really go on to do anything that's too extraordinary, because they don't know what it's like to suffer in certain ways. Because it takes suffering to learn. Like, suffering is our best teacher. So
We've all done that in different ways. For example, like I grew up in Northern Ireland in the late 90s, and there was some things going on at that point in Northern Ireland that happened, and that changed the way I look at the world as well. And Angel, I know obviously you're going through a few things at the moment, but I know that there's things like that they've influenced you as well, and how you write. You've got to do that. So we've all got those bits there that influence us, that move forward. And it actually, like, I wouldn't have the balls to come on a podcast and just talk about this like you're talking about it, to be honest.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's some serious
or
strength
even
right there,
write
man.
a book about
Yeah.
it.
I've got a question there, Darren. I mean, because you're talking about this, whole experience that you had. So, where do vampires come to play in all this?
Good question.
okay, so yeah. The way the story begins, my main character Julian, he's sitting in a coffee shop, writing on his laptop, like writing his story, because he had just came back from the ayahuasca retreat, and just like me, he felt called to write about his life. But then he happens to see somebody in the cafe who just catches his eye and kind of feels drawn to her, but then she gets up and leaves, doesn't think anything about it. And then the next night, though, he's starting a new class where he's in community college. It's Psychology of Dreams, which I actually took that class. That class was awesome. But it turns out this woman he sees in the cafe is there in the class. And through, a series of fateful events, they end up, becoming friends, and it kind of leads to. I always feel like I'm spoiling stuff, but because almost everything in it is just. But they basically, though, I'm sure you guys already know what I was going to say, but yeah, she's a vampire, and she introduces him to this whole world. Like, she knows exactly what he's going through. She can see it all. She sees right through him, and she immediately like falls head over heels for him and everything. So yeah, that's it. And then she
really
takes it and opens this whole new world to them.
And you're saying that this really happened, or is this part of the story? I'm a little confused here.
The vampire stuff is part of the story. That as far as I know, I haven't met any real vampires.
Okay. I was getting a little. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, like who believes in vampires? Sasquatches are real, but
Yeah,
vampires
I
not.
believe in Bigfoot.
Vampires just have a blood disease, okay? Leave them alone. So, but yeah, I'm still reading the book. I didn't get done like I wanted to, like I was hoping to, but it is a really, really awesome story. You guys need to read it.
Hell, I don't just plan on reading it. I plan on getting a copy of it for that guy.
For the wall. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you have paperbacks, Darren?
There's paperbacks on Amazon. Like I myself, I have like one copy of it, but
Okay.
yeah, you can get the paperback on Amazon as well as the Kindle.
Yeah, which is how I started reading it. It was on Kindle. But so when's book 2 coming out?
Right now I have no idea. I am trying to wait until I get the third book finished because I know there's going to be things once I get this book finished I need to go back and change in the second book. And I kind of got excited and jumped the gun and released the first book quicker than I now wish I had, because there was one little small detail that is really insignificant in the first book, but it altered something I was wanting to do in the second book. But at least though, when I changed it, it was for the better, but I don't want to have that happen again though, just in case, something should go wrong, because it's like following the 3-act structure. Like the first book is just kind of like the opener, and the second book just broadly expands on this whole universe and gets really just deep into like a lot of different subplots, a lot of different characters. So yeah, I want to make sure that I have at least the rough draft written for the third book before I release the second book.
Understandable.
But
so are we going to know? Do we have like a Darren Facebook club that we all can fangirl about, or?
Well, I mean, I have my regular page. My Facebook page is Darren Frey Author. Anybody that wants to join that's welcome to. I mean, if you guys are just requesting I start a group, I suppose.
Why not?
Yeah, do it.
Let get you as busy as the rest of us over here.
Right?
Any plans for an audiobook?
I would like to have an audiobook eventually. I would like to get all 3 books finished first, though, because if I was to get them done, I would want. I could see myself trying to use the same narrator, perhaps, and I would like to have all 3 of them done. That way, there's no long gap, just to create any potential problems. Like somebody be like, "Oh, well, I don't do that anymore," or something,
Yep.
So, but I mean, yeah, I would.
You're a better man than me.
But as far as my second book though goes, I would honestly, if I can, I would like to try to get it out by Halloween this year if I can. So,
ooh, that'd be a good.
No promises though, but I would like to get it out by Halloween if possible. And the third book, maybe not too long after that.
Cool. Well, now, just because I've got to call him out, show derailer extraordinaire Tim Brooks has fired a shot across the bow.
I saw that.
And said, that Sasquatch is basically just a Wookiee that got shipwrecked on it.
He's trying to start some mess.
Shots
Yeah.
Tim, I can't comment. For some reason, I can't post a comment, at least from this.
You're probably lucky.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go ahead and give you a Buford's response to that, Tim.
Yeah. Just tell it to Buford. He'll be a good sport about it.
Mm.
He's got a point, basically. It's like, he's probably right.
Oh my god. So, who did your cover, Darren?
Her name is Isla Nate, like AILANATE. She
She did an amazing job. I don't know if
And-
anybody's seen the cover.
Yeah,
And
is
damn
Is
it,
there a
I
way
meant-
we can
I'm-
get the cover up on pictures? Because
Yeah, I actually meant
it's
to
like
get you
this
to
sort
bring
of
that
Jack
book with
about.
you so you could like show it to everybody.
Yeah. Right.
So do you have that book handy?
Yeah, give me just a minute. I can grab it.
All right. In the meantime, we will talk amongst ourselves. Lovely weather today. And see, this is the thing. I'm glad
Speak
we
for
got Aiden
yourself.
on.
It's hot as hell out here.
It's lovely weather today.
It's
It
absolutely-
was 20 bloody degrees. It was not nice. It was.
It's
quite
close to 40 here, Aiden.
I'm talking
40.
in Celsius here.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what
doing
she is.
Celsius for you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So
It's
double
100,
that.
100 degrees.
Yeah, but you don't have the
Right.
humidity we have here, and we.
No,
Yeah,
I
that's
got
true.
that.
We do not. We do
I
not.
got the humidity. Oh, here we go.
Oh, there we are.
There it is.
that is
Look
a cool
at
cover.
that.
That is very cool,
I
man.
absolutely love the cover because that to me is just
Fantastic.
what I see from that.
Can you hold it up again,
symbolism-
please?
Yes.
The symbolism that I see
wanna look at it
from
more.
that is
That's
you know,
beautiful.
it brings to mind the "Catch Me I'm Falling" song from the 80s.
You definitely got your money's worth on that cover.
No
It's
doubt.
beautiful.
That is fantastic.
Isn't it? I
Whoa.
absolutely
She
adore
she
it.
did she did a good job.
Bit of a note
That's
here.
nice.
I also
Yep.
do cover design, and I have actually made covers. For
Do you,
people,
Aiden?
and yeah, I have done. It's like don't hire me. I'm low level. If you can't afford other things,
I know, I could never
It's
do anything
decent
like
enough,
that.
but that is the stuff that I aspire to. Let's
That
put
is-
it that way.
Yes.
That's that simplicity as well,
Yes.
because single color, stark contrast. That's
Mhm.
you did well. You
That
did well.
sucker's gonna
You
look
hired the
good.
right person.
It's
Yeah.
gonna look good up there, man.
Oh yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is.
I had originally kind of came up with the concept, but it was the original idea I'd come up with that I created on Photoshop was just it looked more like some weird like 70s sci-fi style because it was like blue and I mean it was really blue and but yeah, but I showed though my concept art to Isla and told her I wanted to do and but yeah I love though how it's there's not like a whole lot going on but there doesn't need to be and I already told her that I wanted her to do the next two covers because I want them all to be similar like how like the moon's in the background you know I kind of want them to be like that with silhouettes doing something different and but yeah, I mean the picture though, not only does it represent the story itself, but it's also there's also a scene in the story that I don't know if you've made it that far yet or not, Jennifer, but
I'm on chapter 12.
okay, yeah, you haven't made it that far. But yeah, I mean the cover though it's metaphorical and literal, so yeah.
Okay.
That needs to be made into a poster. And Jennifer, you need to make this man some T-shirts.
I know. I
Yep,
definitely
I
need
agree.
T-shirt.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's
That's it's
I
gorgeous
love it.
artwork.
Yeah,
It
but
really
I
is.
gotta tell you,
As an
Jennifer,
arty person,
the t-shirts Jennifer
I'm all
makes-
about
the t-shirts Jennifer makes are wonderful, awesome
Oh,
quality,
yeah,
high quality.
I made.
that. Oh wow, we've got what
Yep.
is this?
Bum, bum, bum.
Like, I might have to have
and
a chat
and
with
Avian,
you
I
a
got
little
one
bit
of King
later.
Minot, so there you go. You know, I got one in my book too. And
That's why I
Jack
said
has one, and Jack
Jennifer-
has another one of my book as well.
Jennifer was the greatest thing that could have ever possibly happened to this show. I mean, she got on board and things went like that. I mean, it just
Oh, well.
happened.
Did
No.
you send mine out, Jen?
Not really. Well, yeah.
Right, does anyone have any skills here? I've got this one. Well, that sort of says.
Yeah, because I
All right.
sent you your code and everything. Your what was it called? The tracking number.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just make sure I'll see if it's laying around here somewhere. I just asked my wife, she said she didn't see it, but we've been
Huh.
gone for like a week.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, it better not have been porch pirated.
No, I hope not.
No, but you know what? I sent some stuff out because I did some stuff for Merrill David. Sent his stuff out. It was supposed to be 2 days. It ended up being a week.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh,
Piss
damn.
me off.
If you want to hear a really bad porch pirate story,
Oh, no.
Yeah,
uh,
I love
the so when I first decided that I was going to make one of my novels a physical cover, I thought, oh, brilliant! So I'll order a couple, and said it was delivered, and it kind of wasn't. And I'm like, oh, what's
Yeah.
going on here, and stuff like that. So I got in touch with Amazon. Amazon, to be fair, were really, really good about this, even after the bit that I'm going to tell you in a second. And they gave me a refund and then sent them out again. So I live in a block of flats that's basically a horseshoe shape. There are gates and fence at the front of the horseshoe. And then you come through the gate and you have to find the building that there's different entrances to different blocks. And
Sounds like you're in
this delivery person had decided that, first block, fuck it, I'll throw them all in there. So it just disappeared into that one.
Damn it.
What made it worse was someone rung my bell and I had to talk to them on my intercom, and they said, "Yeah, I have your books. They were delivered to my address." I'm like, "Oh, that's brilliant, cool. I can come down and get them?" Like, yeah, I live just across from you. I'm like, brilliant. Well, we'll stay there. I'll be down in a second. I ran downstairs. They disappeared. There were multiple places across from me. I looked in all of their doors. I could not see my books on any of those places. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
what? So someone stole the first two copies of my book. So the way that I like to think about it is that they thought my book was so good that they could not give it up. That is what I tell myself.
Yeah, that's
It's
a
not
good way
that
of thinking
they
about it.
were a horrendous person, but they can't sell them on either because they've got that line across them that says it's an author copy as well. So
Who could,
yeah, so
who could sit
my
there and tell
first
you?
two books that I ever got in physical copy was stolen.
Damn.
And yeah, that's
Ridiculous.
but I got all the
Yeah,
money back. And,
it
it
is.
just becomes a fun story when you get all the money back, doesn't it?
Yeah, right.
Well, real quick before we wrap the show up, because we have reached the end of today's episode. I
Damn.
will
Been
give
that
a quick.
long?
I will. Yeah, I know it blew right
Time
on by.
flies.
But
Yeah.
I have these headphones, and Rich has those headphones because Amazon is so kind about things. Because this idiot right here didn't have this hooked in correctly and thought his headphones weren't working and told Amazon they were no good. And they were like, oh, okay, cool. We'll just send you another set. And they were like, don't bother sending the other one back. Just keep it. And so now me and Richard both have a set of the exact same headphones.
I'm gonna make a confession, Jack. That's why I was having trouble with this one earlier. I didn't realize you could unplug this.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
It comes right on out.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it in the right way or make it go click, it will not work.
Mm-hmm.
So
Get
Well-
it in the hole.
Thanks, Tim, bro.
Sorry, that got me.
The
Sorry,
conductor
carry on.
hat.
I'm
The,
a horrible
conduct,
person.
the conductor hat is right back there. Don't make me get it.
You didn't have it. You didn't have it on yet, so
Mm. Damn it.
Wow, that makes it worse.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, me. It's like I am the arbiter of not nice things.
All right, well, I wrap the show up the same way every single stinking week, so we ain't gonna change nothing up for this one. Richard Ryan Rose, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on my page, Richard R. Rose Author, on Facebook, and richardrrose.com on my website. Amazon, Goodreads, Audible also. Coming up, not the present weekend we're in, but the following weekend on July 10th in Dallas, Texas Author Con. I'll be there with like 12 or 13 other authors at the Hilton Garden Inn. Come check us out. Admission is free. Go to Texas Author Con webpage or Facebook page, and you can register for a ticket. It's free, but it puts you in for some drawings for some free giveaways.
oh sweet.
Very cool. Angel,
Yes, I'm here.
where can you be found, my liege?
Thank you. Yes, you can find me on my Facebook group, The Legionist of Angelus Maximus. You can find me on Amazon. If you want to find my zombie books, it's Angel Ramon. If you want to find my Knit RPG historical fiction stuff, it's Angelus Maximus, as is displayed on the screen for you guys. and you can find me on Patreon, and where you can get exclusive stuff. And if you and Jennifer and Jack have signed up for the $10, $20 levels, you will be getting a free paperback. So I look forward to sending you those, guys.
Very cool. Very
Nice.
cool. Jennifer, how's the book coming?
Oh, I broke 30,000 words. I'm so excited.
All right.
Nice.
That's a good number.
Yes, thank you. So I'm halfway there, and I'm really excited because I have decided to do it in a series, at least a 4-part series, and it's going to be a different take on things, but you'll get extras at the end of each book, more than what you didn't get in the book previous.
Mm.
So you'll eventually have a conclusion, but it's going to take you all 4 books to read.
Nice.
You will have to know what's going
Oh well,
on.
we'll just have to buy all 4 books then, won't we?
No,
Yes.
yep, great stuff. Bloody hell.
I'm really excited. I do have an author page, Jennifer Amato Author, on Facebook, and I'll do the webpage later. I don't have one as of yet. Closer it gets to time for me. I'm looking for a November release date. Since November's my birthday month, it would be great.
Fantastic.
All right.
Aiden, first off, thank you so much for dealing with my
Yes.
complete screw up,
Thank
and not
you.
writing down.
Oh, it's
date.
fine. The wife was more annoyed because she's currently live as well because she's got a business that is based on live.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's a door closed in between. We've used our tiny flat judiciously. But yes, so where can you find me?
Yes.
You can
Yes.
find me AC Cartography if you go onto Drive Through RPG. That's where you can find my maps. I'm mainly doing maps at the moment. I'm an author, but I'm also a fantasy cartographer. And then if you go onto Facebook, that will then be Aiden Collier Cartography. Or if you just basically search my name anywhere, because my name is unique. I am one
Yes.
of, I think, 3 people in my entire country. No, not 3 people. 1 people, actually. It's like 3 people in the entire world. Like, well, 1 people. Like, you type my name in with the correct spelling, you will find me. My name, so I shall spell it, is Aidan. That's my first name.
Mm-hmm.
Surname Colyer, because my granddad decided to change the family name from Cox to something that was really difficult to spell for people because everyone uses a different spelling. But yeah, you just type my name into wherever you are, and if I'm there, you'll find me and you can go and have a look at what horrendous thing I'm doing at that particular moment in time. Because I do many things.
That's fantastic. All right. Our guest, the main man of the day, Darren Frey. Brother, where can we find you?
This is the important bit.
I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/Darren Frey author, DARRENFREY author. And of course, I'm on Amazon, and that's really, I mean, I'm on YouTube, but that's just random stuff on there.
Damn, somebody's getting arrested.
It
Yeah.
sounds like it.
I live in a
They're
like, carry on.
not coming for you, right?
No, it's thundering
Hopefully.
here. There's something here, but it's thundering, so internet might be getting ready to get knocked out. I don't know.
Sorry for interrupting your prelim. This is all right. Go. It's the important point. Go on, do it again. Go on.
Darren.
Get this clear.
So you're on
My
Facebook?
Country destroy your advertising. Your. Where did you get to?
Darren, give your Facebook information.
Facebook again. Sorry, I ruined that for you. I'm
It's,
apologizing profusely for this.
I'm literally turning red in the face right now.
It's Darren Frey, author, DarrenFrey, author, AUTHOR. And I'm pretty sure I'm the only Darren Frey author. There's a couple other Darren Freys on there, but they're so you just type in, Darren Frey author, or if anybody wants to just send me a friend request, they can, just look for the guy that looks like me. I'm the only one that looks like me.
Well, now something you didn't know towards the beginning of the show, before Rich flipped things around, you were basically the StreamYard duck.
Yeah, you were for a minute.
Yeah, sorry
you
about
are no
that.
longer the StreamYard duck.
It did amuse me for quite a while.
Me too.
I mean,
I
it
never
had
could
like
find
a
a
big frame of me and just all you guys to the side. I liked that a lot better, but it was
I
blocking.
bet you did.
Yeah.
Oh, good look at your room, Richard.
All right, well, guys, we're gonna get on up out of here. I got to get a little truck work done and get a few other things hashed out and whatnot. But Darren, thank you so much for coming on. I plan on bringing you back when book 2 comes out, when book 3 comes out. So keep your schedule.
Oh, definitely,
loose.
yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I had an absolute blast talking to each and every one of you. It was a pleasure.
And hell, who knows? I might wind up dragging you on sometime as an extra special guest host, like we did with Aiden over there. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Go right
we'll be
ahead.
in touch.
I'm very draggable. Go right ahead.
All right. For Richard Ryan Rose, Angel Ramon, Jennifer Amato, Aiden Collier, Darren Fry, hot damn, I'm Jack Childress. This is the Written Undead Podcast, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Peace.
And chicken grease.